just freedom. It wasn't surrender, it was clarity. I refused to become the man who measured victory by how much he could strip from the woman who betrayed. That wasn't love. That wasn't me. So I sent her an email. Subject line: "You're free." No body text, no scene, no final plea. Then I logged out, closed the screen, and sat in stillness until the sunrise crept through the blinds. She didn't answer that day or the next. But 3 days later came a soft knock. Mid-morning. I opened the door and there she stood in jeans and a hoodie, bare-faced, hair tied back, no makeup, no armor. She seemed smaller somehow. "Can I come in?" she asked. I didn't reply at once, only stepped aside. Walked into the kitchen and slid onto her usual stool. Strange how habits don't request permission, they just take their place. "I got your email," she. Her voice faint, like she'd spent most of it elsewhere. "Is this really what you want?" I kept my gaze on the counter. "It's what we already live, just not signed." She sighed, pressing fingers to her temples. "I didn't mean for it to end like this." Finally met her eyes. "Then how did you mean for it to end?" Silence. No reply, because no reply could work. Maybe that hurt the most, that it wasn't meaningless, but it wasn't enough. "I thought I could keep everything balanced," she whispered. "The kids, you, me, him." She spoke his name like it belonged in our kitchen, like it hadn't been the weight that dragged us under. I nodded, not in agreement but in recognition. I had played my own balancing act, ignoring signs because the truth was too sharp, too heavy. "I left the gift at his door," I said. "The paper, the choice." Tears filled her eyes, though none fell. She wasn't one to cry. Not when her father passed. Not when we lost the baby in 18. She stood, looked at me as if about to deliver something profound. But all she managed was, "Okay," and left. No hug, no vow, just the hush of the door closing behind her. I stayed there listening to absence. A divorce was signed on a rainy Tuesday. Courtroom, no fight, just a plain office, 2 pens, a mediator who spoke like this was paperwork. In a way it was. She sat across from me, composed, her ring finger bare. I wondered when she slipped it off. Before that dinner, or outside his building, sliding it into her purse before walking through his door. The thought didn't burn anymore, not the way it once did. She glanced at me once while signing. I didn't return the look, not from spite, just decision. I'd already spoken everything that night. I followed her and left the box behind. Everything else was just echo. After it ended, I stepped out into the rain with no umbrella, let it soak my shirt and color. The cold reminded me I was alive, still standing, still myself. Freedom doesn't roar. It doesn't arrive with parades. It slips in quietly, much like grief. You feel it in odd places. One set of clean dishes, half-made, but an empty toothbrush holder. Time dulls the emptiness. You begin to see the room. I moved into a smaller apartment 2 weeks later. 2 bedrooms, close to the kids' schools. Kept the coffee table from our first year, but nothing else. I wanted the silence to stay honest. One night, maybe a month after, a text came from an unknown number. He isn't who I thought he was. No name, no context, only that. I stared for a while. Not because I didn't know who wrote it, I did. But because for the first time in years I realized I didn't need to answer. She made her choice. Did I? I didn't block her. I just let the message float unanswered like a leaf drifting on water. I shut my phone, made tea, and sat on the balcony as the sky dimmed. It was one of those warm dusks where everything softens. My daughter padded out in pajamas, eyes heavy with sleep. Daddy, are you sad? I looked at her, small and safe. No, sweetheart, I said, lifting her onto my lap, just remembering. She laid her head on my shoulder and we stayed in the quiet. No pretending. No wait. Gave her freedom that night, not as revenge. Not even as justice, just truth. A gift. Wrapped in silence. And the thing about truth is it never begs to be explained. Simply is. I kept that wedding photo. Not in my wallet but tucked in a drawer. Because even though it ended, that moment was real. The sun still lit her veil and I had loved her once. That chapter closed with the gentlest of sounds, the click of a door, the whisper of paper sliding through a mail. No flowers. Just freedom.